Welcome to Soundscapes, the Swedish Chamber Orchestra's video and sound podcast. My name is Gregor Zubicki and I'm going to be your host. And today we have the great pleasure of meeting Janine de Bick. Welcome to Soundscapes and welcome Janine. Fantastic that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
And well, it's great. It's great to work with you and the whole experience of doing music together. And I've just been talking a little bit about, well, in a sense, the history of an orchestra, how an orchestra is developed, and the road that every individual musician has into an orchestra, and how you're this individual, and then you join an orchestra, and then you become like this piece of a whole, of a bigger whole. And of course, when you meet an orchestra, you meet the whole orchestra, as opposed to, let's say, a pianist when you sing with a pianist. So what's it like meeting a new orchestra for the first time?
Well, at first it's pretty nerve-wracking, seeing all the new faces, and even though I'm quite prepared for the rehearsal that we're on the piece that we're about to do, it's still it's nervousness. It's like a first date, meeting new people for the first time and hoping that they enjoy the gift that you're about to offer and share with them. But at the same time, it's quite exciting to be able to share that that message that you have to say with the music, and see and play what they also have to say with their instrument. So it's a nerve-wracking and exciting experience at the same time.
And of course, the conductor, in a way, is your go-between there.
Correct. He would be the mediator between the musicians and myself.
So that's a bit nervous as well, finding that you find somebody who understands you.
Yes, but fortunately, I have only encountered maestros that have been able to share my vision or share my voice as well as theirs. It's been really in sync, and very easy to then portray that to the orchestra and what we would like to do as a team.
Yeah.
And then therefore the whole piece becomes organic.
Yeah, because I think when it all works the way it's supposed to, everybody becomes more than themselves, in a way.
Yes, and then the music begins to fly. It begins to have a voice of its own, mixed with all these voices that have something to say, and then we find one common ground.
Yeah. I was talking a little bit earlier about the journey for every musician. Somehow starts with this discovering that you have an interest for music, and then being given the opportunity. Where did you start? I mean, did you start singing or did you start with an instrument? Where did you start?
I started with an instrument, but again, I can say that I started proficiently with an instrument in terms of taking lessons, after school. But I come from Trinidad and Tobago, and our culture is enriched with song. It's just something that was already before I was born in me. So because our culture and heritage is mixed with music and song and dance and everything artistic, due to the rhythms of our heritage and our history, this was already embedded in my spirit,
DNA.
in my soul. Exactly. Yeah. So singing wasn't something abnormal to me. It wasn't something very strange. What was interesting was that I grew up as an Anglican, and my family and I, every Sunday we went to church. My grandmother sang a lot. And so that was my first introduction to classical music, because, as you know, we were a colony of England, so the Anglican religion is of the British rule. And in the hymnals, you still have the scores of the hymns in the book. So that was my first time seeing these black notes on a page within lines from since I was a baby. And I didn't know what they were then, but of course later on, it was only natural when my mother put my sisters and I through piano lessons, that it really, it just seems sort of a seamless flow from one thing to the next. I really can't pinpoint this was the moment that I started my training as piano, because it was all just from beginning to end, just one seamless flow. And in school, in primary school and secondary school, I continued. We have choirs. And we have lots of competitions between schools and festivals, and there's a growing community. Is a huge community of music and classical music, and of course the folklore and heritage of my country in these competitions. And we all took part in them, each genre: calypso, folk song, classical music. And when I reached the age of 16. I was fortunate enough to have met a new choir mistress who had studied at the Royal College of Music in London, and she, as an opera singer, and she came back to teach art and music and choir, and she heard me and asked me if I wanted to train privately. So simultaneously, I took my voice lessons at 16, but I already had my piano proficiency from very young. And then the rest is history, almost.
Well, it seems almost providential the way things came together.
Yeah, when I graduated when I was 17, 18, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was very good at computers. I wanted to be a sound engineer. I took European history for 7 years, so I was thinking about becoming a historian or a lawyer. I was also doing Spanish as a second language and wanted to become a translator or a linguist or something like that. I had no idea. Yeah. But my teachers who taught me piano and voice, they introduced me to this world of perhaps you could become a musician as a career. And we don't have anyone as an example of that, really at a top level. All we have are teachers, but no one actually as a freelance performer doing it at a high level. A
role model.
Correct. I mean, probably I should take that back. There is one tenor who is in England, but of my generation, there wasn't any. So I didn't really know or understand what they were talking about. So I had to do lots of research. At that time, YouTube had just come out. Learning arias or listening to famous opera singers. But I'd never seen an opera before until I actually went to school, and I went to the Met for the first time at the age of 21. So I still didn't have an idea about what the whole opera world was about, but I was already advanced in a way that I was always involved in drama, always involved in theater, always involved in singing, acting, words, text, all of that came naturally to me due to what I already had in my environment. Because we are a singing people, we sing for everything. I mean, all our advertisements have song, and we sing at weddings, we sing at birthdays, we dance, we do, there's carnival, we are dramatic Caribbean people. So it was only natural for me to go in the direction of being a vocalist, much more than being a pianist, actually.
Sounds like a fantastic place to grow up.
I have to say that I am, as traveled as I am so grateful for having been born in Trinidad and Tobago and having grown up there. It's such a wonderful, diverse culture, and diverse people, and we promote so much unity because we have so many different groups and religions, and we all learn about each other's cultures.
And accept each other's differences.
Exactly. We have no choice. It's a small island.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and there are places where they
I know, but there's nowhere to hide.
That sounds fantastic. So what was your first professional opera experience?
Well, me performing, or as
performing. Now thinking of you performing.
My first opera experience. have to go way back. Ooh. I would say when I went to Theater Basel in Switzerland. This was my first young artist / fest contract in Basel, Switzerland. And there I did, I was covering the role of Susanna, but I performed the role of Barbarina in Les Nozze di Figaro. I performed the role of Sophie in Werther in our young artist production. And something else, but I don't remember in the moment.
It was in Basel, in Switzerland.
It was, yeah. I right out of school, 2009 when I graduated. They came to Basel to audition students for their young artist program. It was their second year of doing that, second or third year of doing that, and they hired me on the spot and invited me to come for 1 year to work there. So I did that, and that was my first out-of-school operatic experience as a soloist.
It's funny because when you say Basel, when I was really little, my mother sang in Basel at the Opera House.
Really?
And I was put into a kindergarten there. So, you know, so it's one of my first memories of, I was going to say opera too.
You are well-traveled. I mean, we were in Australia, in South Africa, Basel.
But you're still based in Switzerland? Or partly, or where are you based these days?
I'm a nomad. I'm out of my suitcase at the moment because I work so much and I'm so grateful for that. But I go back and forth between my home in Barbados and in Europe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, fantastic. It's wonderful that you've come to Sweden.
Thank you.
And that you're singing with us.
I'm so happy. I'm still strong hopes of seeing the Aurora Lights. But I don't think that might happen because we're too far south.
Yeah, it feels strange to come so far north.
Or a reindeer. If a reindeer were to walk down the street, I would be thrilled.
Well, let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was wonderful to have you as our guest today, joining us in this wonderful conversation with our soloist, Janine de Bick. And I hope we will see you soon again and again and again.